Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now today we're going to be... Now before we begin the normal episode, I just want to address one thing. Sorry, Mr. Beat, and sorry everybody who voted for political party to be the next video. It's not going to happen. I'm officially going to stop doing polls for what the next episode will be about, because it causes a lot of trouble, because I feel like I'm lying to you when I say, hey, which video should I do next, and then I don't do it. I just personally feel that would be kind of bad to do like political party, then political party, especially considering those videos are kind of longer, because I gotta go through the entire history of the party. So the next video is going to be about a political ideology, which is actually going to be a shorter video. So that resolves that. Now let's get into some of the news. The news, one news story actually ties into the topic of this video, which is going to be political endorsements. Now, Mr. Beat already has a kind of idea about endorsements, because he announced in a video that he was running for governor of Kansas, and then he lied. So, anyways, let's get right into the news. Blankenship starts third-party ballot petition drive. A petition drive has started to place convicted former coal executive Don Blankenship on the West Virginia general election ballot in the United States Senate race as the Constitution Party's candidate. Now, Don Blankenship, you know how I feel about Don Blankenship. not that keen on him, because, well, convicted criminal, obviously paleocon, and like, it's been announced already that he might not be able to run as a candidate, but he may be able to run as a write-in candidate, which is I get, like, he can run if he wants, but I mean, like he's not gonna get any endorsements from me, because, well, his views just don't align with mine, to say the very least. Especially considering the whole, we need to stop cocaine Mitch McConnell's China family. It's like, okay, you could say that, and then this is actually kind of funny. Like, he was called a racist for that, and then they're like, dude, that's so racist. Why would you call him why would you call his family like a China family? And he says, I don't see the problem. It's China family, China man, Negro man. It's kind of ludicrous. Okay, and on to the next story. Trump. I have an absolute right to pardon myself. Donald Trump said, I have the absolute right to pardon himself, but he suggests he wouldn't do it because I have done nothing wrong. Now, again, Donald, like, I don't believe in the Russia conspiracy either, or any of the, like, at most, Stormy, you probably did pay off Stormy Daniels. Seems likely that you did, but, again, if you don't believe that you are guilty, you don't need to do anything. Like, to anybody in the audience, it's just, like, nobody even brings up this, how Donald Trump is acting kind of slightly makes me think, okay, maybe there's something I don't know. Like, I don't believe that the Russians hacked the election to ensure Donald Trump win. I don't believe that they used Jill Stein as a puppet for it. But Trump obviously has something to hide. I'm assuming that it's money laundering. At most, he money laundered, but I do not believe that the Russians hacked the election to give Donald Trump his position. I think he won that obviously fair and square, or as fair and square as the United States Electoral College makes it to be. The next story that is, like, I don't have that many stories in particular, but here's another one. It also ties into endorsements. Filing deadline drama. Ellison Omar moves scramble Minnesota politics. Attorney General Lori Swanson's decision Monday to leap into the Minnesota gubernatorial race set off a chain reaction on Tuesday for state and local offices. The first big political shakeup happened around noon when DFL U.S. House Rep. Keith Ellison came to the Minnesota Secretary of State's office to file for the Minnesota Attorney General, throwing a wild card into the race, opening a floodgates to candidates for Ellison's 5th District congressional seat. Now, Keith Ellison. I would have gladly endorsed Keith Ellison for his congressional seat. I just needed to do more research on him. And I was on my way to making an endorsement. But then he pulls this. Like, I'm sorry, Keith, but you don't do this. Who honestly, like, imagine if Donald Trump just today announced, I will not be seeking re-election in 2020. Instead, I'm going to be running for City Council of New York City. Like, you'd say, that's fucking crazy. Why would you do that? Most people who run for governor do not go to a lesser government seat unless they are forced to. John Quincy Adams is an example. He ran for president. He decided not to seek another term because, he didn't want to do I'm going to seek a third term and go against Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe. I'm going to go against all of them and just seek a third term. He felt that he couldn't do that. So he didn't do it. So then he ran for I believe it was a House of Representatives. But anyways, there's not much. Again, that's pretty much the last story for the day. Now let's take a look at a political party that is very small, called the Humane Party. The Humane Party it's a political party that basically enacts vegan issues. It has recently adopted a lot of political issues, such as requiring a balanced federal, state, and territorial budgets, replacing the electoral college system with a democratic election system, ensure equality under federal, state, and territorial law for gender, sex, identity, sexual orientation, marriage equality. But basically, it's pretty much the vegan party. They have a lot of vegan issues and voting reforms as their major platform planks, which, almost every third party advocates for electoral reform due to the fact that it'll give them a fair chance to actually become viable. Like, in my opinion, all political parties should be viable. Every single one. Well, unless you're got two people. Like, I went over this in a previous video, in my first podcast. One of my positions was to make it so that every candidate is automatically a write-in candidate, because again, you might agree with me or you might not, but why is it illegal for me to go into a place and just write Mr. Beat's name? Why? I don't get it. Then again, I probably wouldn't vote for Mr. Beat, but I don't know. Mr. Beat, hit me up and we can schedule a fireside chat where you can talk to me about whatever. Well, actually, no, because this is kind of a secret nerdy thing, but I've actually been writing questions for a lot of political YouTubers to interview them on this show. And not just political YouTubers, but like the first person I actually wrote one to interview is the politician known as Cecil Bothwell, who was a city council member in Asheville. I don't even live in Asheville, North Carolina. I live in... Like, I'm not going to say that. Like, I mean, looking at my congressional districts, you could probably pinpoint... Like, it's kind of a reason why I'm not going to endorse, like, city council members or state senators. Because, I mean, I'm going to endorse my congressman, my senator, and my president. Maybe my attorney general. Oh, yeah, and my governor. I forgot about my governor. But, like, I'm not going to endorse very small seats because you'll pinpoint, like, exactly where I am. Where, like, because think about it. It's like, I endorse President blank. Oh, I gotta search the whole country to find this man. I'm endorsing Governor blank. Oh, now I only have to search in the state. I'm endorsing Congressman blank. Okay, now I only gotta go search deeper into the state. Now I'm endorsing City Council blank. Oh, now I only gotta look in the city. You see my point? But, I mean, I'll vote for them, but I won't, you know, it won't be in spirit. They won't get an endorsement on my site. By the way, go check out my website, Pluribus Unum, youtube.weebly.com. It's my website. I worked really hard on it. It's got a lot of pages such as home, main series videos, fireside chats, endorsements, and contact. Because I've always wanted to end these with, like, questions from the audience. But I mean, I might do a live stream Q&A at one point in the future, but I mean, I gotta check out how this works. Like, what can I put in the background of my live stream? Because I'm good at a lot of things. I'm good at Audacity. I'm good at recording. I'm good at audio editing. I'm good at video editing, but I'm not particularly good at the YouTube live stream software. By the way, if you're subscribed to my channel and you see a live stream that was never announced, it means I'm just testing out the live stream and how it works, so you don't have to actually check it out. Okay, so on to the main topic of the video, endorsing candidates. I will probably ramble on and on. I even have a video brought out for one of these candidates. But, I mean, you really gotta... Sorry, I'm trying to set it up on my phone, because if I try to set up a computer, you'll hear me click around. So, there's, like, one video from one of the candidates, but, like, I'm endorsing 21 named candidates. There are some candidates that I have yet to endorse because I don't know of them. Like, there's a candidate that I found out literally the day of his primary that he was endorsed by Bernie Sanders, and so I was like, oh, I want to endorse this guy. But his primary is today. I don't want to edit my website just so I can endorse him. So I waited until the primary was over, and then he didn't win. So, I mean, you can't blame me. I mean, it's not like the people in his state, which was Iowa, by the way. It was Pete D'Alessandro or something. But it's not like he was gonna sit here and be like, you know what? I wasn't going to vote for him, but now this random YouTube channel with 7 subscribers has finally pushed me to vote for Pete D'Alessandro. Like, nobody's gonna do that. So here's some candidates that I have not endorsed. No, wait. Let me start over. I'm gonna first go over some candidates that I have endorsed that have lost their races, because there's been some... Because technically I've been making this website for a little bit longer than I started posting videos, because I needed to get my snowball. So here's some candidates that I endorsed that sadly lost their race. For Ohio's gubernatorial race, we have Dennis Kucinich. Dennis Kucinich is a progressive Democrat. He's one of the most progressive Democrats that has ever existed. At least also in modern day. Maybe if you compare him to LBJ or Estes Kefauver, you're not going to get that. He's, like, technically he's more progressive than them because of social progressive issues, but anyways. I endorsed him because, well, he's the spoilers for season finale of this year. I would have voted for him in 2004 and 2008 in the Democratic primary because he's the most progressive Democrat that was running at the time. There was only one other person in 2008 that was close to him, and that was Mike Gravel. He was fighting for, like, single payer, ending the wars, da-da-da-da. I'm surprised he didn't try to make a run for Senate, too. I would have gladly, if I lived in Ohio at the time, I would have gladly voted for him in every single race possible. All started from little boy mayor. He was the little boy mayor. And now he's an old man. They grew up so fast. Okay. So next, my congressional seat. Whoa. My congressional seat, we had Richard L. Watkins III. He was a member of Brand New Congress, which is a progressive offshoot group that wants to run progressive candidates from all over for any party. They mostly stick with the Democrats and the Republicans because, you know, those are the ones who will actually have chances to get in the seats. But Richard Watkins, I wasn't adamantly, I didn't know much about him because he was a newer candidate. But when I knew about him, I endorsed him. I liked him. I even begged, people on my social media, like my Instagram, my personal Instagram, to please vote for him so that I may have a chance to vote for him in November, because I'll be able to vote in November. Woohoo! I mean, at first I gotta get my ID and my voter registration, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Now, recently there have been 5 candidates that have been knocked off my endorsement list. It's sad. 5 candidates. 3 were running for the same seat. California, District 12, I believe. If District 12 comes up again, it was Stephen Jaff. He was running to replace Nancy Pelosi, which, I mean, I don't particularly hate Nancy Pelosi, but she's a corporate Democrat, so I kind of do hate her, yeah. So I wanted him to replace her, but I guess that's clearly not going to happen. The next candidate was Lieutenant Governor of California. It was Gail McLaughlin, who was running as an independent candidate, but she received endorsements from the Green Party of California and the Peace and Freedom Party. She is a very, very, very progressive person. She received endorsements from Ralph Nader and Jimmy Dore. You can tell she's a progressive, like a staunch progressive. And she lost. Now, the next race was the Senate race. I endorsed 3 candidates. The candidate that I endorsed the most was Ellison, who was a Justice Democrat. Because she was open to the idea of legalizing cocaine. The second candidate I endorsed was David Hildebrand, who is also a really progressive person and received an endorsement from Gail McLaughlin, I believe. Yeah, I believe he's the one who received the endorsement from McLaughlin. And Pat Harris, he is also a really progressive individual. They were all really progressive individuals, but I think, Ellison Hartson, just had, it was literally just the cocaine that made her more progressive, because, there was a debate that had a rapid fire round where they had Hildebrand, Harris, Hartson, De Leon, well, Kevin De Leon, and, well, I mean, Dianne Feinstein didn't show up. So they were all at the debates, and they were asked questions. The questions were simple, like, and it was like they had to hold up a sign that said yes or no, depending on their answer. So it would be like, do you support the legalization of cocaine? De Leon says no, Hildebrand says no, Harris says no, and Hartson says yes. But one thing that is kind of sad, and you'll kind of get why, sadly, another thing later in the list happens. But I'll include a link to it in the description. But if you watch the video, you can tell that Kevin De Leon is literally just copying everyone else's answers. Like, there are moments where he just looks up at Hildebrand's answers and just holds, and then changes it to immediately say yes. Although Harris did have one thing that I kind of agree with, where they asked the question, like, should impeaching Donald Trump be top priority? Everyone else said yes except for Harris. He was like, nah. Anyways, the next candidate... No, I think that's it, actually. Okay, but here are some candidates these are some nameless candidates that I have yet to endorse. Their names may pop up on this endorsement list later. Not later in this video, but I mean like in the future. So, people that I have yet to endorse are any other Justice Democrat that is not on this list. Every Justice Democrat, or every person who is endorsed by Our Revolution, or every person that is running with Democratic Socialists of America, or any person running with the Working Families Party, or anybody working with the Brand New Congress. Yeah. I forgot Brand New Congress for a second, even though I just mentioned them, like, not that long ago in the video. But anybody who's running for any of those progressive industries, I happily support you. I just don't know your names. I'll probably include, like, on the list, like, any other Justice Democrat, any other progressive that is running with these organizations. That'll make it easier. Okay. So, on to the actual named candidates. The first two, like, they're organized... I'll read the top of the website just to give you, like, a sense. Candidates currently endorsed by me. They are organized to the importance to the race of me. Incumbents are placed above the challengers. It's placed like this. President's on the top, then my senator, then other Senate races, then my congressional race, then other congressional races, my gubernatorial race, other gubernatorial races, my lieutenant gubernatorial race, other lieutenant gubernatorial races, if they're in a separate election, which mine happens to be in a separate election, any other state or local election that piques my interest, or any foreign election that interests me. We're going to be starting at the very, very bottom. So we're going to start with foreign elections, and then we're going to work our way up to president. So, okay. Coming in at the first one, the Canadian Prime Minister election, we have Jagmeet Singh of the New Democratic Party. No relation to the New Democratic philosophy espoused by Bill Clinton. Now, technically, due to it being a Prime Minister election, it works a whole lot differently than ours, because for a Prime Minister race, you don't elect the individual who is in charge. You elect the members of the party to be the most represented, and the leader of that party gets to be selected to be the Prime Minister. So technically, I'm endorsing literally every single New Democratic member to be the majority of Canadian Prime Minister, Canadian Parliament. Now, each candidate has a small little paragraph, which I'm going to read for all of them. The current leader of the New Democratic Party, Singh identifies as both a progressive and a social democrat. Singh is the progressive alternative to neoliberal Justin Trudeau. Singh is running on a platform that calls for a progressive tax system, decriminalizing possession of all drugs, and a $50 minimum wage. Now, this is actually a small misconception. Many people believe that weed is legal in Canada. It's not. Weed is like a crime that nobody's going to throw you in jail over. Like jaywalking. A cop's not really never going to try and throw you in jail for jaywalking unless you're actively, like, going to cause a crash. But yeah, I mean, Singh wants to decriminalize all drugs. He also wants to enable a Netflix tax, which I really have no preference one way or the other. I mean, I don't really live in Canada anyway, so... I mean, personally, I would like for any left-wing person to be in charge of one of the North American countries that isn't part of the socialist, like, authoritarian socialist countries in, like, Venezuela. Sorry, Peace and Freedom Party, but I just can't endorse authoritarian socialists. Not you. I mean, you're not really authoritarian, but I mean, like, the Maduro diet is clearly something that is not good. Which is why I only endorse, like, social democratic candidates or progressive candidates. Usually not pure on socialists. But maybe there's some socialists somewhere in there. Okay. Because many people don't realize that the U.S. does not have a left-wing... Like, there is no left-wing leader in the three major countries that make up North America. Mexico, a centrist that leans to the center-right. Canada, centrist. America, right-wing. There's really nothing there for us. Speaking of North American, we've seen our neighbors in the north. How about our neighbors to the south? For the Mexican presidential election, we have Andrés Manuel López Obrador, representing the party of Morena, or the National Regeneration Movement. He's a left-wing Mexican politician that ran for the presidency for 2 times previously in 2006 and 2012. AMLO's platform calls for increasing financial aid for students and the elderly, universal access to public colleges, and an increase to welfare spending. Now, AMLO, Mexican Bernie Sanders, that's who he is. A Mexican Bernie Sanders. Very popular among the people, but there's one major difference. Since he didn't have any opposition in his party, Morena, his party, because he used to be the leader of that party, people love him so much to the point that he's currently on the top of the polls, so it looks like he's going to win. And I'm ecstatic. I'm glad that he's going to win. We'll actually finally have a centrist in Canada, a right-winger in America, and a left-winger in Mexico. And then when Jagmeet Singh beats Trudeau, we'll have 2 left-wingers. That'll be great. And then in 2020, we might have 3 left-wingers. Okay. Next, for the Kansas Attorney General election, we have Vermin Supreme, quote-unquote Republican, a perennial and satirical candidate for president since 2000 who ran as a Republican, Democrat, Independent, and a Libertarian. Inspired by many teenagers running for the governor of Kansas, he decided to run for the Attorney General. As a friendly fascist, his platform calls for free ponies for everyone, mandatory toothbrushing laws, funding to help prevent the inevitable zombie apocalypse, and using them as an alternative energy resource, and time travel research so he can go back in time and kill baby Hitler before he was even born. Okay. He's clearly satirical. Like, his campaign isn't serious. But here's the thing. Since his election is so small, I actually want him to win this one. Mr. Beat may be looking at me like I'm making a whole mockery of his state's politics, but I just want him to win this one. I want to see what he will legitimately do as Attorney General of Kansas. I'm just mad that he's not running for Attorney General in North Carolina, because I would literally go vote for him. I would register right now if he was running for a North Carolina election. I would vote for him right now. I'm laughing here. We're on the brink of tears because this is just so hilarious. He's literally running like president. We all pretty much know he's not gonna win. For any other office that he runs for, like president, he's never really gonna win. But this one is so small. The only way he could be smaller is if he ran for city council. That would guarantee him that he would win. Okay. This one's going to be a long one. Ugh. Sorry. The New York gubernatorial race, we have Cynthia Nixon representing the Democratic and Working Families Party, or Howie Hawkins representing the Green Party. Two left-wing alternatives to the current neoliberal governor Andrew Cuomo. Nixon is an actress and activist best known for her role as Miranda Robbins in Sex and the City, and Howie Hawkins is a perennial candidate for multiple offices and was instrumental in creating the Green Party. Both candidates are fighting for the legalization of marijuana, affordable housing in New York, and moving New York to prioritize renewable green energy. Individually, Hawkins is fighting to end gerrymandering and introducing ranked choice voting system, whereas Nixon is fighting for all individuals, including illegal immigrants, to have driver's licenses. While Hawkins would identify more as an eco-socialist or a democratic socialist, and Nixon would identify more as a progressive. Both are good options for any center-left or left-wing individuals living in New York City. My only piece of advice is that if Nixon wins the Democratic nomination, I would encourage all people who are in New York to vote for her under the Working Families ticket, due to the fact that it will increase awareness for third parties and will still guarantee Nixon the win. And, I mean, there's actually a slight possibility that the Working Families Party will endorse her candidacy even after the primary, because there's a video about this in the future, but, like, New York has, like, 7 current qualified political parties, and still only 3 people run for the election, because New York allows fusion voting, which is where one party will endorse the candidate of another party. I.e. would be like if, like, the Working Families Party does it all the time, which is one kind of thing I kind of don't like about them. Rather than running their own candidates, they always endorse another candidate. I feel that if they were together, they would get their voices out better if they literally ran their own candidates, but that's just me. Now, for the Ohio gubernatorial race, we have Constance Goodell Newton. While I originally supported Dennis Kucinich in the Democratic primaries, Elizabeth Warren and other corporate Democrats chose to back Richard Corduroy, so I am now backing attorney and current co-chair of the Green Party of Ohio, Constance Goodell Newton, as her platform calls for universal health care, free education from pre-K to college, and to provide expansive mental health and addiction services to those who need it. There's not much really to say about her run. I'm really endorsing her as more of a protest against Richard Corduroy. I mean, I believe in her platform, and I want her to win. But, I mean, if Kucinich was in the race, I would pay her no mind. Okay, now this is going to be the most interesting one out of all the ones. Tennessee District 2 congressional race. We have Mark Whitmire, an independent Republican. A progressive independent Republican, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a Republican that does not affiliate with the National Party, which makes sense due to him being one of the 2 neo-bull moose Republicans running for Congress, alongside Robbie Ryers. Robbie Ryers actually lost his nomination. Oh, I forgot to mention Robbie Ryers! Dang it! Robbie Ryers was a progressive Republican running for Arkansas seat. So, yeah. Mark Whitmire has a platform calling for universal health care, free college for all, and a living wage. Whitmire is also a veteran, for any of you curious. You could tell probably by his picture, he just has the look of a veteran. California District 40 congressional race, we have Dr. Rodolfo Cortez Bedogan, a 30-year-old newcomer who is the only candidate running against 13-term incumbent Lucille Robal Allard, and he's one of 2 Green Party members that made it into the general election in California. Bedogan is currently fighting for a Green New Deal, ending the wars by adding a Department of Peace and Well-Being and enacting ranked choice voting system and a pathway to citizenship for illegal aliens. He also has a bit more radical views. He wants to abolish the United States Senate, which I don't agree with, but I mean, he wants to do all these because I know for a 100% fact he's not going to get that, but because nobody else in the Senate wants that. Nobody else in the House wants that. But he's fighting with, but all those other issues, he has a lot of other senator and Congress buddies to back him up. So, yeah, he can get that done. For New York District 14 congressional race, we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, representing the Democratic Party, a progressive educator, organizer, and working-class New Yorker who has championed the needs of children, families, and working New Yorkers, both on the streets and with policymakers. She's endorsed by Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, and the New York City branch of Democratic Socialists of America. Her platform calls for Medicare for all, combating climate change, free college for all, and a campaign finance reform. I didn't hear about her campaign until I watched it on Secular Talk, which, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Secular Talk is usually on the nose when it comes to these kinds of things. So, like, he's one of my main news sources, technically. Yeah. Him. Yeah, I think it's just him. I also watched a little bit of Jimmy Dore, Humanist Report, Progressive Voice, Tom Hartman, Jon Stewart, those kinds of guys. Okay. New Hampshire District 1 congressional race. We have Levi Sanders, representing the Democratic Party. The son of Bernie Sanders and Susan Campbell Mott, Levi is one of 9 Democrats running in the New Hampshire's 1st District. But he has the advantage of being the only blood-related child of the most popular politician in the U.S. Levi is running on the platform of Medicare for all, making the minimum wage a living wage, addressing the opioid crisis, and tuition-free college for all. Like father, like son. Now, Levi, literally just take Bernie Sanders, make him younger, you get Levi. And that's why I endorse him. I mean, like, Levi is the... Oh, there's one thing that I actually kind of... I'll get to it when I get to it. It's more of a thing for later. But all you need to know is right now... Perfect. I'd vote for Levi if I was in New Hampshire. Nevada District 4 congressional race. Amy Valila, Democrat. Okay. Amy has something that you're gonna be... I know you all are gonna probably be mad at this story, especially you who have children. So if you have children, you're going to be mad at Amy. Because Amy's reason for running, you're going to understand why she's running. A healthcare activist who tragically lost her daughter to our for-profit healthcare system. She was inspired to run because of the incumbent congressman in her district saying during a conversation about policy, because she was trying to talk to him about policy, and he was like, yeah, I got it. I gotta fight against Donald Trump, so I can't really fight for healthcare. And she was explaining her story to him, and he said, this is a quote, she explained that he said this to her, quote, "I heard your story today. I didn't have to be here tonight. I could have been out there enjoying my weekend." Her platform calls for universal healthcare, stricter gun control, a Green New Deal, and free college for all. Again, if you have children out there, you're probably boiling red at this. Even if you don't agree with her stance on healthcare, you don't go up to a person with a dead child who tells you, "My child died," and then say, "Yeah, I heard your sob story. Boo-hoo, wah, wah, wah. Your children's dead." It's infuriating. Kyle Kulinski, who interviewed her, actually explained that when he heard that story, he cried. Because it's just... Why? You're an elected official. You don't go to your constituents and say, "Yeah, boo-hoo, dead child." You cry. Cry, you little bitch. You don't do that. I got a little heated there at the second. North Carolina District 6 congressional race. We have Ryan Watts, Democrat. A progressive Democrat from North Carolina. Unlike other NC progressive candidates like Jenny Marshalls or Richard Watkins, Watts actually succeeded in gaining the nomination of his seat. His platform calls for universal health care, common sense gun control, investing in a green economy, and electoral reform by abolishing Electoral reform accomplished by ending gerrymandering and introducing congressional term limits. Term limits, okay. Term limits is a strange thing. If I were president, I would enact term limits because I know when I get to be president, literally every single politician I like will be dead and or dying. So I won't have to worry about that. Okay. Colorado District 6 congressional race. Levi Tillman, an American businessman that runs on a progressive/social democratic platform that campaigns for universal health care, combating climate change, and campaign finance reform. Tillman is and will continue to fight for these issues no matter how much Steny Hoyer and the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee will stop him. Okay. Levi Tillman, he was involved in a major controversy because he didn't do anything wrong. Because he was running for he's running for his congressional seat. He's the progressive Democrat, and there's also a corporate lawyer who's running against him. You can tell he's actually you can tell the other person's the obvious corporate Democrat, so he obviously noticed that he noticed that there were obvious favoritism. They were reporting more on the other guy, and he was getting more money. So Steny Hoyer, who was the senator of Colorado, went up to him, and Levi, obviously not being stupid, recorded the conversation, and Steny Hoyer pretty much said, "Drop out, Levi. You stink. Nobody likes you. We already have the election decided." It shows the Democratic Party is pretty much rigging their primaries against the progressive candidates because, yeah, why bother picking the people who are actually going to win? Am I right? Okay. This one is a candidate that I just learned about yesterday, and I am 100% on board with him. Before I get to him, I'm going to play a clip. I'm going to play it by putting a phone right next to my microphone. So, apologies for if the audio is bad, but you will understand. If you know anything about politics, you probably know who this guy is.
But they've been dragging their feet. These are foot-dragging, knuckle-dragging Neanderthals who think they can dictate policy to America by...
Okay. So, if you didn't recognize him, let me explain. For Florida's 9th congressional district, we have Alan Grayson, former two-time representative from Florida's 8th and 9th districts and 2016 senatorial candidate. Alan Grayson is best known for being a aggressive progressive, for saying things such as the 2009 Republican healthcare plan was, quote, "Don't get sick, and if you do get sick, die quickly," and called the Republican Party, which you've already heard, foot-dragging, knuckle-dragging Neanderthals. Grayson's platform calls for getting money out of politics, universal healthcare, ending the wars, and prioritizing green energy. You see a pattern. You can obviously see a pattern, which candidates I will endorse. But yeah, Alan Grayson, I've always heard about him on Secular Talk, because he was talking about, I love Alan Grayson. I never really paid attention to Alan Grayson, because, I didn't know what I would expect from him. But this guy, he is so great. He is the left-wing Donald Trump that we need again. We need a left-wing Donald Trump that will look up at Donald Trump's face and tell him, "No, you suck." This is a guy that we need. We don't need him in Congress. We need him as the president. This guy needs to run for president. Alan Grayson. I will gladly help Alan Grayson. Alan Grayson, if you watch this, if you happen to watch this, hit me up, and I will help you. I know how to do graphic design. I can design to you a perfect logo for your congressional run or your presidential run if you decide to run. Like, how can you not respect a guy who can literally stand up at Congress, look at them in the eyes, and call them foot-dragging, knuckle-dragging Neanderthals? That is amazing. Now you'll be thinking, wait, how is he supposed to compromise? No, you don't compromise. I hate that stupid thing. People are like, politics is the art of compromise. It's not. Politics is very simple. You fight to win. And here's how you win. You appeal to the people and fight for what they want. That is how you win. And Alan Grayson knows this. He knew this when he ran for Senate, but the Democrats had other plans. Patrick Murphy lost to Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio. Now let's just spell this rumor once and for all that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. That Marco Rubio. Just like how I would say Sanders would have beaten Trump, Grayson would have beaten Rubio. Okay. Now on to California District 3 congressional race. We have Kenneth Mejia, Green Party. Inspired by Bernie Sanders, Kenneth was a writing candidate for the same office in 2016 with the Democratic Party, but after seeing the corruption of the Democratic Party, he changed his party affiliation to the Green Party. He stands for progressive issues such as single-payer health care, environmental protection, and humane immigration reform. Kenneth Mejia. There's not much to say about Kenneth Mejia. I like Kenneth Mejia. I hope he wins. I literally hope he wins. He made it to this round on the California primary, so I want him to win. If he becomes the first, like, I want it to be the first Green Party official to be elected to Congress, but if he makes it, but if he's there first, I'll gladly be second or third, considering Rodolfo. But anyways, now this is going to be different because now we're on to the incumbents. Here are some incumbent congressmen. We have California District 17 congressional race, Ro Khanna. The first incumbent to join Justice Democrats and one of the vice chairs of the Congressional Progressive Congress, Khanna is one of 10 individuals in both the House and the Senate to not accept any corporate PAC money. Khanna's platform calls for universal health care, non-interventionism, and combating climate change. Now, Kyle Golitsky pretty much changed my position on Ro Khanna. I used to not really know about Ro Khanna, but now that I do know about him, I like him. I think he's a great politician to have in the Congress. Okay, next race we have Arizona District 3 congressional race. We have Raul Grijalva, one of the most progressive members in the House of Representatives, current co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and is one of 3 incumbent congresspeople to be a member of Justice Democrats, the progressive offshoot of the Democratic Party. Grijalva supported Sanders throughout the 2016 primary, and his platform calls for universal health care, environmental protection, combating climate change, and increasing gun control. Now, I mentioned 3 people who are in the Congress that are currently affiliated with Justice Democrats. The other one is Pramila Jayapal, I believe. I haven't endorsed her yet because I'm looking into her. I'm just looking into her, is all. Now, sadly, we get to my congressional district, North Carolina District 4 congressional race. It is with a heavy heart that I have to say no endorsement. While I supported the progressive Democrat Richard L. Watkins in the primaries, I cannot endorse any of the current candidates. David Price, especially since he overall has a semi-decent voting record with votes that conflict with Grijalva and Khanna. His most prominent screw-up is voting for the Patriot Act. Although he is semi-decent on issues such as healthcare, gay marriage, and marijuana legalization, the one issue that Price is adamantly good at is net neutrality. If the Green Party can offer a better candidate, I will gladly endorse them. Because the Green Party recently got on the ballot in North Carolina, so they may run a candidate in this race, but they are definitely going to run a candidate in the next race. But I'm just saying, if I just can't endorse David Price. He voted for the Patriot Act. Kucinich, and if you're saying, well, maybe it was because, Hillary Clinton's I voted for the Patriot Act. Lincoln Shavy's I voted for the Patriot Act. Kucinich Sanders, and Paul. Those three, even though their parties adamantly supported the Patriot Act and the war in Iraq, they all three voted no. They knew where it would lead. Okay. Now we're on to the Senate races. There are really only 3 Senate races that I actually have a endorsement for. First is California Senate race. We have Kevin De Leon, Democrat. While I originally supported Ellison Hartson, David Hildebrand, or Pat Harris for senator, I now reluctantly and skeptically endorse President pro tempore of the California State Senate, Kevin De Leon. While De Leon wasn't as progressive as the 3 H's, he's not completely opposed to corporate money, which explains my skepticism regarding him. The issues expressed by him include Medicare for all, legalizing marijuana, investing in green renewable energy, and free college for all. I guess I'll have to fix my website because I put legalizing marijuana twice. He's received endorsements from Ro Khanna and Raul Grijalva, so that's why I'm kind of endorsing him, because it's like these two trust him. So they clearly have something. He clearly has something. He has those issues that I do like. So at most, he will be like Elizabeth Warren, a progressive that is a little too corporate. So yeah. So I mean, I'll like his votes, but I won't like him. For Maryland Senate race, we have Chelsea Manning, a former soldier and whistleblower who's best known for being imprisoned for disclosing to WikiLeaks nearly 7,500,000 sensitive military and diplomatic documents exposing the war crimes committed by the U.S. government, especially revolving around Guantanamo Bay. Manning is running on a platform for universal healthcare, ending the war on drugs, and ending mass surveillance perpetuated by the U.S. government. I like Chelsea Manning. I do. I think her, Julian Assange, and Edward Snowden would be perfect in any presidential anything. Except Assange can't run for U.S. president, so. And like I said before, in another video, she recently did an attempt on her life, which, I mean, we need to. I mean, like, I wish her the best. I wish she'll be actually able to win the Senate seat. And okay. For the Vermont Senate race, we have Bernie Sanders, the Social Democratic former mayor of Burlington, former congressman of Vermont's at-large district, current Vermont senator, and 2016 presidential candidate. He has stood for progressive values since the 1970s and will continue to do so until his death. I really don't need to say his platform because everybody pretty much knows his platform. Universal health care, legalizing marijuana, free college for all, etc. Now, I've said a lot of these candidates. A lot of these candidates are really good. There's one major problem I have with Bernie Sanders recently that has been noticed. Do you know how many of these people that Sanders is endorsing? None. Sanders hasn't endorsed a single one of these candidates. And if he has, I haven't seen them. Grayson endorsed Sanders. Levi endorsed Sanders. Khanna endorsed Sanders. Grijalva endorsed Sanders. Sanders isn't endorsing any of these guys. Sanders has endorsed like 3 progressive candidates in recent years. But Secular Talk explains best. I think the reason why is because he wants them to actually give him like a fighting chance in the next election. But I'm just saying, you need to endorse these candidates, Sanders. If you only want to endorse the progressive Democrats here, that's fine. Just endorse them. Endorse Grayson. Endorse Khanna. Endorse Grijalva. Endorse Manning. You need to endorse Manning. You need to endorse all these people. They're all great candidates. You need to endorse them. That's the problem I've always had with. That's the problem I had with Sanders when he endorsed Hillary Clinton. Like, he's too pragmatic in my opinion. He doesn't give... He doesn't fight... Like, he fights the good fight, but he also needs to help others who are fighting the good fight. He's endorsed some of the candidates, but he hasn't endorsed them all. Like, none of the people on my list. He should endorse at least half of this list. At least the Democrats on this list. And lastly, we have the United States President. For the 2020 presidential election, we have Andrew Yang, Democrat. Now again, I'm making this perfectly clear. As of this episode, I'm endorsing Yang. If Bernie Sanders decides he's going to run for president, Yang is gone. Like it says right here in my little paragraph. Out of the currently endorsed candidates for 2020, my views align the closest with Andrew Yang, as he's calling for single-payer healthcare via Medicare for all, stricter gun control, combating climate change, legalizing marijuana, and even fighting for issues that I don't really care about, such as universal basic income. As you can tell, my throat's getting sore, so thanks for watching this episode of the Pluribus Unum Fireside Chats. There's not much else for me to talk about. If you like this kinds of topics, go visit my website, follow me on Twitter, and go check out my main series videos. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And leave questions below, because I might do a Q&A in the future, or may just answer at the end of a normal episode. That'd be nice.